Hi everyone! Once again, this is Christina Divino, my mom. For today's video, I will be sharing with you my learnings and reflections of the files that was given to us by Dr. Ramos, as well as answering his questions about research, okay? Qualitative research. So, from what I have understood from the two files, I have learned that it is all about qualitative data research. I also learned in those files the importance of qualitative data analysis in the interpretation of results. I also learned what is code. So code, as what they discuss, is usually a short word or is usually a word or a short phrase to represent the key essence and key attribute of narrative of verbal information from participants. So codes are used to categorize the data, and coding is the process of categorizing data into chunks that are similar. So after that, codes are developed into structure, and um, it was also highlighted by the presenter the importance of reading and rereading the manuscript before doing the coding. And also, I have learned that in doing qualitative research, it involves multidisciplinary disciplines, and the common approach that they use is comparative approach, which means um, you know um, um, knowing also, trying to look for the other previous emerged researches done by previous researchers. And also, the most important takeaway or learning that I got from those files is the importance of being very careful and meticulous in the documentation process. So I felt, as a researcher, we must properly document everything so that we have proper evidences that can support our research, and also we will have no problems like doing our research, because we all have the data that the data is properly documented. um, I feel like, as researcher, um, we should do that, so that no unknown data is missing, and um, um, no gaps with the documentation process can be found in your research paper. So that's my learnings and reflections of those files. Now let's proceed now to the question. So the question is: describe some techniques for turning research ideas into empirical questions and use those techniques to generate questions. So as humans, we experience life, right? And life includes struggles, happiness, of course. Um, we experience poverty, unemployment, injustices, unfair treatment, and so on and so forth, right? Um, and these experiences that we have can be verified empirically. Our eyes, our ears can be source of for data collection. We can um, so in doing in connection to that, doing research, we can really use our five senses to generate empirical questions. Empirical questions are questions that can be answered by observing experiences in the real world. It means, as humans, we experience different phenomena and have affected us in many ways, right? And it is wonderful if we can make research out of our experiences. As social engineers or social educators, as social educators, we usually explored phenomena using qualitative approaches or researches. And in qualitative research, we also done interviews, focus group discussion on observation in analyzing data. Now, I will give you now an example. As the world experienced the global health crisis, which is COVID-19, this phenomena actually affected all of us across the globe. The toll of the numbers being infected and mortality truly showed us how great the damage brought by this unwelcome crisis. COVID-19 truly affected the economic, social, and political aspects of human life. Thus, there are many researches today that have emerged on the lived experiences of different people with different walks of life, like COVID-19 patients, their affected families, government workers, medical professionals, businessmen, scientists, uniform personnel, and so on and so forth. The lived experiences that we have and the questions we also have can generate empirical questions and turn it into a great research paper so that it can be of great use or a great reference also for future researches. Now let us proceed to the question number 2. Explain what makes a research question interesting and evaluate research questions in terms of their interestingness. Give example. So for me, a great or a research question is interesting is, of course, it should be aligned with your research objectives, meaning to say it should target what is the purpose of your study. And second is it should be also grammatically correct. It should be clear, it should be specified, it should be focused, and it also should be timely. So it means to say it is done or occurring at a favorable or useful time. So I would like to give an example. So the first question is, what are the challenges faced by the local government unit of Moncayo in the response to the COVID-19 pandemic? As you can see in my first question, I'm talking about challenges. So um, that question is actually can be verified empirically by our participants because they have their lived experiences about COVID-19. And that is an interesting question. Second, what are the actions made by the local government unit of Moncayo in curtailing the spread of the virus? And again, this is a great question because the question is like actions. What have they done? What have they done in curtailing the spread of the virus? So another question is, what are the efforts made by the local government unit of Moncayo in handling and treating COVID-19 patients? So this is another great question because we will now be asking the government, local government of Moncayo on what are their efforts in handling um, and treating COVID-19 patients, so that we can also have we can evaluate if they are like their processes and if it is appropriate and correct as well. Number 4, of course, I this is a wonderful question as well. What are the lessons learned by the local government unit of Mukha in handling pandemic health crisis? This is a great question because in this question they will reflect on what they have learned. Um, because out of this question, we will be able to know if if the preparedness of local government unit of Moncayo and if ever this another unprecedented outbreak will happen again, if they can they have prepared, they have standard measures to fight if there are health outbreaks similar to this. So that is my answer for question number 2. I hope you've learned something, and that would be all. Thank you and have a nice day.